It's so good to be here this morning. Always look forward to this. Always love the time. It's nice to see we're back to the Northwest weather. I was getting spoiled thinking I was somewhere else in the world. But this morning I woke up to the rain coming into our little trailer because I had the window still open. Linda woke up out of bed and goes, "It's raining in here." I go, "Ah!" And it was just kind of like on my face. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't know if I was in the shower in my dreams or what. I want to bring us to a story this morning. And you're going to know it when I start reading it. I just want us, just, as usual, just to kind of live it out together, walk through the emotion of it, the feeling of it, and I think you'll enjoy some of the things I feel like the Lord just wants to do in our lives and say to us this morning. So I'll read. If you have your Bibles, it'd be great. 2 chapters, Luke chapter 14. Yes, yeah, I Luke chapter 10, I'm sorry, back one more. Verse 38. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. She had a sister called Mary, which sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about by much serving, and came in and said to the Lord, "Dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me." And Jesus answered and said unto her, "Martha, Martha, whenever you see deity double enunciate, something very, very critical and key is being said. Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful or necessary, or what will sustain you in the journey. One thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, but shall not be taken away from her." John chapter 12. Read this portion, and then I'll pray, and we'll begin. John chapter 12, verse 1. And Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. And there they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, "Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?" This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and had the bag and bare what was put therein. And then said Jesus, "Let her alone. Against the day, or because of the day of my bearing has she kept this. For the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always." Let's pray. Father, thank you again so much for allowing me to have this time with my friends, my brothers. Lord, this morning, just do something in all of our hearts. Really begin with me. Just as men, as leaders, as the responsible ones in our families, the responsible ones in our churches, we just were born responsible. We bear the pressure of it. So this morning I'm asking just for a change, a movement in us toward you. Let the revelation of Jesus Christ and your passion and desire and love for us to be incredibly understood and known this morning. Father, I thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. It's at the end of his 3rd year of ministry. You have to know that he is the most famous person on the face of the earth. His fame for the last 2 years has gone out beyond the border of Israel. Men and women are coming from other nations because they've heard about the miracles. They've heard about this one most will say is a prophet. Even back to Rome, the information and the word about what he's been doing has gotten all the way back there. Even Herod and Pilate will hear about him. At one point, by the end of the 1st year of his ministry, he will have as many as 10,000 people following him. I want us to grip this though, because sometimes we don't realize what's happening. He will feed 5,000 men, just men, not including women and children. They will come around the Sea of Galilee. The attraction is so great that he cannot find a place to rest with his disciples. Even when he wants to go away, they're following him. He will be in a house at one point, and men will take apart the ceiling just to lower people down. They would be thronging him no matter where he went. He is coming to a little town called Bethany. It's only 2 miles outside of Jerusalem. A woman there by the name of Martha is about to have in her house the most famous person living in the day. I just want us to feel her emotion. I don't know where they met or who arranged it. Not even his disciples are coming to the house. Just him. I would imagine that even the neighbors were probably talking in this little village. Did you hear that Jesus? You mean Jesus, the miracle worker? Yeah, he's coming to Martha's house. Really? I mean, how does he even know her? And she probably would, I would be, as you would be, anxious. Listen, I'm in a lot of homes. I'm going to be in another one next week. Every week I'm either in a motel or a home or somewhere. And when I come, who met nobody, as it would be with you, when we're having somebody to our house, you know that pressure. You immediately have to have the house clean. That's the first time, that's the only time I help with the dusting. I don't know what, I kind of move, Linda's taught me, I just kind of get the dust off where I sit. I don't know, you have to move everything around and put it all back, But everything goes in the closet. You know how this is. If you're not doing it, you've seen your wife do it, or you've seen your parents do it. But there's an immediate pressure upon the host of someone that is having someone in their home. So Martha's already having the pressure of having not just a person, but Jesus is coming to her house. I can only imagine she must have been pacing. Maybe she knew 2 weeks before, a month before. Sometimes we've known guests are coming to our house 3 or 4 months before, and Linda's already planning. Martha's definitely a planner. So she was probably pacing and telling Lazarus and Mary, listen, we got to get the house really nice. And Mary, you got to go put your stuff away. Lazarus, put your clothes in the hamper. Why do they got to be on the floor? What's the matter with you? Typical guy. She was probably considering what he might like to eat. She's going to plan the meal, just like our guy. By the way, every month the guys who did the cooking, can we just let them know how much we appreciate that? Thank you. I'm going to take some with you when I leave. She was probably she might have even sent ahead to him or his disciples by word, what is his favorite meal? She is wanting not only the house to be clean and perfect for him, but she's wanting to please him. She's wanting to, whatever his will is, she is wanting to make sure that he is absolutely comfortable, at peace, that her home is as comfortable as his own home would be, as anyone would. I'm sure, just thinking about it, I'm sure he wanted lamb. And for dessert, I would imagine angel food cake would have probably been this dessert. If you don't mind, yeah. I'm sure it was those two things. So she must have been pacing. The crowds must have followed. I don't know where the disciples went. Maybe they went to other people's houses. But this is incredibly unique that he would come to her house personally, a man of this kind of influence, and a man that we understand right now she has really never met. There's been no encounter of the two of them that we have record of. And for him to come to her house, what an honor for her. So that day must have come, and I would imagine she was pacing at the front door like we would be. I'm thinking, and the crowds must have been coming. Here he comes. She receives him. I love Luke's words. And Luke is so specific in his writing. She received him into her house, and I would imagine it was the best chair she probably prepared for him. That was his place. Jesus, come on in and sit there. I would be nervous. She must have been nervous. Sat there, how are you, good, comfortable? Can you imagine having him in your house? She probably went into the kitchen, I can only imagine this, and began the stove on, and maybe it was a roasted lamb or whatever it was, starting to cook, and she's preparing everything. I'm sure there was more than just the lamb, and she probably thought, was like, oh my, I can't even believe he's here. This is amazing. she starts cooking, and as usual with anybody, I'm sure that the time began to be a bit of a pressured thing. We don't know if he's staying over. Maybe he's got an hour or two. We don't really know, but he's come over to have dinner with them. And so she starts the preparation, and now it's getting a little time. And she's starting to get, we know Jesus says it, a bit anxious. She's not only under pressure because he's there, but she has this pressure on her to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. It's amazing to me. He didn't ask for it, but she has the sense that it has to be perfect. And so she begins the cooking and the planning, and now the time is getting away from her. She doesn't want to burn anything, and she immediately is really, Jesus will say, consumed with it. I mean, it's overtaken her. Boy, I so relate. So she's finally, I don't know how long this is. Is this 20 minutes, 45 minutes? Now she's thinking, I need help here. Where's Mary? And so she probably could imagine, she peers out the door, and Mary's sitting at his feet. She's disgusted. I'm in here serving him. I mean, I'm trying to make everything perfect. I'm trying to do what would please him. I'm trying to do everything that I believe would be the thing he would will. I mean, it was just everything he would want. I'm trying to do it. And you would think that he would know that I'm in here struggling, trying to serve him, and he doesn't say anything to my sister who's doing absolutely nothing. If she's anything like my wife, there would have been a little noise being. You know, and if there's noise in the kitchen, I gotta say, I'll be right back, guys. I gotta go see what's going on. Amen. She starts. It is amazing to me. He knows what's going on, but says nothing. Nor does he say anything to Mary. Nor does he get up to help. Says nothing. So I don't know how long it took. I mean, how long would you be so irritated to get the gumption to say something to him? I'm sure she peered out a couple times. But, so finally, she comes out of the kitchen with this emotion, and she says to him, don't you care? I mean, what a question. Don't you care that I'm in here serving and my sister's not helping me? Tell her to help me. His response is incredible. He says, Martha, Martha. She's probably like I would be, just, what? You're consumed with this. It's overtaking you. You're stressed out. Mary has chosen not the only thing, the better thing. It will never be taken away. Guys, I just got to talk about Martha a little bit. You see, that's why I love his words. I love Luke's words. She received him into her house. Do you know what happened the day you and I got born again? We received him into our house. Can you imagine? He was willing to come into my house, your house. Who am I? Who really are we? But we received him. The immediate moment that you and I received him, we immediately had a sense of pleasing him. We immediately had the sense that we wanted the house absolutely clean, absolutely perfect, that we wanted him in our houses, like Martha, to be pleased, that his appetites would be fulfilled. We wouldn't have the language for it, but we had the sense immediately, especially of us guys, we are born to have this, carry this pressure of making sure everything is like it should be. It's innate with us. It's exactly what she's trying to do. Even now, the idea of our lives is we want to be pleasing to him. We want to make sure that his will is fulfilled in the house. We want to make sure that he's comfortable. We want to make sure that he's at peace here. We want to make sure that he loves being here. Every one of us live with the pressure of it. It's amazing though. He didn't say anything to her. He didn't create the pressure. Martha did. We are born to serve. He never said to Martha, Martha, serving is wrong. Oh, no. Serving is absolutely right. You and I were born again to be servants. It's what he was. It's what he is. I appreciate you listening to me. I appreciate the love of the prophetic word. I appreciate the appreciation. I appreciate the doctor stuff. I appreciate all. But the truth is, we're just servants. I'm just serving this morning as my brothers serve with this, as we're serving, as Gary's serving right now up there. We're just servants. That's who we are. But the stress of this, of what we live under, that's the thing Jesus is addressing there. He points at Mary, and he says to Martha, he says, Mary has chosen the better part, not the only part. It's the part that will sustain her. I want to talk about Mary for just a moment. Luke again uses such critical and key words. As it's being described, Luke will say Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet hearing his word. There's two primary words the Greeks would use for the word. It's logos and rhema. Now see, I got to say this to you. I grew up and was raised by the men who raised me up, that I came to him to find direction. I came to him to find his will. I came to him to find out that I'm doing the right thing. But sometimes I wouldn't want to come to him because, as it would be with any authority, he's going to correct me. He's going to tell me he's not pleased. And this was my relationship with him. I came for something. I came to get something. Even if it was the revelation of his word, my relationship with him was to get something. Rhema word. Luke doesn't use it. He uses logos. It's just thought. What's going on there? Mary is sitting with Jesus for no other reason just to be with him. He's talking about nothing and he's talking about everything. There's no purpose other than fellowship, intimacy. That's it. It's going to be 6 months later. You with me? How are we doing for time? Just push the button so I can see it. Oh, I'm doing good. Really? 6 months will go by. 3 months earlier, Lazarus dies, and Jesus will raise him from the dead. We don't know what happened in this story. I don't know, did Martha go back to the kitchen pouting, as I have? You know, here I am serving, and you lecture me? Yeah, no. Yeah. And you know, I don't understand why you didn't serve. Here I am, just trying to please you. You know, I wish I could tell you that I never did that, but most of the time that's my reaction. Here's what's amazing to me, and it's helped me. I want to share it with you. I made it a kind of a mark in my life. I use it as a sign. When I see this, I've got to make a change. Here's what it is when I'm starting to measure what people are not doing for me, that's a sign there's a problem. When I feel like Linda's not doing enough for me to fulfill the will of God, or when I think you're not doing enough in my ministry or in my service, when I start looking at other people, no one's helping me here, no one's helping me there. I mean, don't you see that I'm serving you? Don't you think these people, my brothers, my friends, should understand this and they should be a part of it? Don't you see I'm trying to fulfill your will, but nobody is helping me do it? Once you start falling into that, you've got to realize we've entered into a troubled moment. We are cumbered about, we're overtaken, we're consumed. Brothers, I wish I could tell you that that's never been my case, but it's been my case more than any other time. So we don't know, did Martha learn anything? Did Jesus' words make a difference to her? Did she see what was happening? 6 months later, as I just said, Jesus is back in Bethany. I don't know if you saw that. But he's not at Martha's house. He's at Simon the leper's house. So he's back in the same village 6 months later. He's not at Martha's house. He's at Simon the leper's house. Did you notice when I was reading John chapter 12? It says they made a supper for Jesus. Lazarus was doing what the usual thing guys do. He was at the table eating. Martha was serving. When I first saw that, I thought, whoa, wait. This is the same woman 6 months earlier in her own house was complaining about no one helping her, and now she's in someone else's house serving?
something's changed. See, listen, this morning I want someone to happen to us. I want us as men to be totally at peace serving in this house. No matter where J. LeRoux goes, put your name there. No matter where I'm serving, no matter who I'm serving, no matter what I'm doing, I'm totally at peace. He's pleased. I'm in His will. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. I'm doing it unto Him. But it's a whole other thing to be comfortable serving in our own house, but to serve in someone else's house? That I could be a part of His serving in the kingdom. You and I could serve one another and be at peace with it? Something's changed with Martha. Something happened. That she not only was free to serve in her own house, but that she would go to another man's house and serve there. Did you hear this? Not, she wasn't complaining. Look at Lazarus sitting his fat rear end over there. I don't care. If you're lucky you're risen from the dead. I would have left you in the grave. Matter of fact, you're still stinking. I mean, that's astounding to me. What would happen if you and I were so liberated that if our neighbor needed us, we were there? I think it's happening with us. But we cross over sometimes. We're agitated. We're measuring someone else, maybe a coworker, maybe our wives, maybe a son, maybe a pastor. Or we're measuring us. We're just measuring people. We start that. He's doing nothing. How come they're not helping me? Where's him? I'm here every week. Where's the other person? When we get to that point, we've got to do a quick check. We've got to make a point. It's got to be assigned to us. Whoa, 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 whoa. Something's missing. Something's wrong. What the mistake that's made is we stop serving. The mistake we made is, well, I'm taking a break from that. Don't do that. That's not the answer. We're born to be servants. It's who we are. That's a mistake. When you stop serving, we stop serving the life of God, the power of God, the Spirit of God. Jesus served till His very last moment. You know what His last service was? Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. Man, that's real servanthood. Incredible. He was born a servant. Though He was king and priest, He was servant of all men. You know this. So here we are. I love the story. Martha's serving. There are all of the disciples that there are. When in this culture you leaned, if I was on the floor, you laid on the floor, the table was only this tall. So Jesus was probably at the head of the table. I imagine Simon the leper was there. But Jesus had His disciples, Peter, Andrew, Philip, Nathaniel. They hung out together. Over on His heart side, I'm sure it was John, James, Thomas, Matthew, James the Lesser, Judas, not Iscariot, that's how we know him, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot. I'm sure there were other of Simon's friends there because he had a house. And if you're going to have a house that can fit this many people, you had some wealth. They were all there. They were just eating. Martha's serving. All of a sudden, the door opens. In comes Mary. She's carrying a container. They all know what it is. The scholars feel that this oil, this perfume, was carried in a marble container that was either sealed or they would have to break it to open it up. They saw her walk in with it. John will say Judas is the one who talks. Mark and Matthew say all of them were starting to get indignant as they saw her walk in. She was carrying it to Jesus. He was, I'm sure, maybe not even facing, and maybe he saw them, maybe he looked back, but he was laying it across. She breaks it open and pours it. John will tell us on his feet. No. Matthew and Mark will say on his head, all the way down to his feet. She was pouring it on there, crying, and with her hair wiping the ointment, the spikenard on him. They all were talking. Some of them vocally sang it. Not just Judas, all of them. And their words were, what a waste. Now, just so you know, again, historical, this is what our theologians or the men who have studied these have been passed down. Spikenard was the most expensive thing that could be purchased. Here's what it was. A man's salary of up to 2 years. So just think about it now. So what do you make a year? An hour, 20,000, 50,000, 80,000, 120,000, 250,000, 500,000. I have a couple friends of mine that make $1 million plus a year. They've been in the room and I've talked like this. What is it? I mean, for a man who makes 20, it's as valuable to him as the man who makes $1 million. It's what you spend your whole year making it, or 2 years. Can you imagine taking 2 years of a salary in some liquid form and pouring at it? It's gone. It's done. You can't recover it. The disciples were sitting there looking with the face like, what? Why is she doing this? I can't believe it. He's there. It's incredible. Let me say it this way, my brothers. It amazes me, this moment. He has been with his disciples for 3.5 years. They saw him turn water into wine. They watched him walk on the water. They heard him speak words that no man had ever spoken. They were with him in his most intimate times. They watched him. There wasn't nothing that he did or didn't say that they were not there to witness it. They saw him multiply blood. 3 of them saw him transfigured. They watched him walk across water. They saw him command the winds to cease. Yet in 3.5 years, he was not precious to them. They still didn't see his value. This woman, who's only known him for 6 months as far as we know, comes in with the most valuable thing in her entire life. It might have been her family inheritance. It might have been her inheritance. She looks at him, and he is worth more than anything she's ever had or ever seen. He is more precious and more valuable than the most valuable thing this world can ever give her. And she pours it out. These men who saw him, watched him, were with him, were intimate with him, they still could not see his value. He still was not, as Peter will write later, the precious Lamb of God. Sometimes, especially men will ask me, Jay, how then does he become that precious? I've got to tell you, I want to be a man who sees him that way. I want him to be more precious to me than anything I have or could ever have. Oh, that's easy words. That's nice thought. Certainly, when he first came into my house over the years, I was expecting that he would be more valuable, but over time I would be agitated and I would serve and not serve and be mad and think, well, maybe I'm in the wrong place and maybe I shouldn't do this and maybe I should do, and I would just be struggling consumed with the will of God, the pleasing of God. And finally, some years ago, I began to understand it. I understand it now. What brings him to be so valuable and so precious? It's simple. It's just time sitting at his feet. I thought, can't be that easy. I thought if I get the PhD and more Bible and more church, studying the Bible is awesome. We should be doing it. Time with him is awesome. If you're supposed to have a PhD, get it. But it's not for everybody. You don't have to do it. What you are, what you know, do it, man. Do it. Do it. What we're supposed to be, let's be it. Let's be it. So what is it when I'm feeling like I'm being consumed with everyday life, with the will of God, pleasing God? What is it sometimes when I'm starting to realize maybe he's not as valuable and maybe I should start thinking about me? What do I need to do at that moment? That's the moment you've got to change a lifestyle and say, I'm not leaving my house until I have 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes with him. I'm going to find a place. I'm just going to sit. Just sit. Why are you here, Jay? No reason. I'm not sure what the will of God is. I just want to be with you. I'm just here for you. I'm just here to be with you. I could be sitting or maybe laying down, or I'm just here. This is our spot. I'm just sitting at your feet like Mary. I've taken Mary's position. I'm just hearing you. I'm just here for you. I just want to know you. I just want us to have a fellowship and intimacy. I don't need a thing. Just want you. I would have been ashamed if I were those disciples. But we know 3 days later, they're going to be in the upper room arguing about which one was greatest. They didn't get it. Incredible. Here's the beautiful thing. Now, if you don't mind me play like in the story, Mary was pouring it over his feet. If I was there, I would have said, "Shut up, Peter. Judas, you thief. Get out of my face." I would have defended myself. Boy, that's so me. I would have stood up and said, "Wait a minute. Isn't it amazing? Jesus told Martha, what Mary's doing, no one will take it from her." She didn't have to defend herself. It didn't matter what anybody thought or said. Wow, I want to come to that liberty with my relationship with him. That it doesn't matter what anyone's saying and judging. It just doesn't matter. I'm not having to fight my way out. I'm not having to defend myself. Isn't it amazing? Jesus himself defended her. He basically said to them, "Shh." Well, I tell you, when he says, "Shh," shh. He says to Judas, well, some of the smarter ones among us just thought it. He said, "Leave her alone. She's doing this to my burial." Guys, I just came this morning to say, we were born to be servants. There's no question. When he came into our house, we immediately had the pressure of pleasing him. We immediately had the pressure that when he took his seat in our house, that he was comfortable, he was at peace, and he never wanted to leave. I want him, even to this day, for his appetites to be fulfilled. I want him when he's in our lives and in our church and among us, and he's with me in my private world, in my open world, when nobody sees me, when everybody sees me and us, that he's pleased. Now sometimes that pressure for me has been too much. I've been consumed with it. It's almost worn me out. And I realize the idea isn't not to serve. I want to be like Martha. I want to be able to serve in this house, this house, this house, this house, this house, this house. It doesn't matter the house. I'm doing it now. Not just Father's house, but other houses. What an honor. But we're burning out and we're losing the passion to be who he meant us to be. World changers, grandfathers and fathers and uncles and brothers and sons to change the world and turn it upside down. Because we have lived without understanding that sitting at his feet was going to be the place that we'd be renewed and strengthened. It would be there that we would find him, and it would be there that he would become more precious and valuable to us than any other thing we have. Let's pray. Father, thank you so for this morning. Thank you for the story. I do realize, Jesus, it was your pattern. Every morning the disciples would wake up. Where were you? You were sitting at your Father's feet. That's where you were. Amazing. I didn't know. I didn't see it. So this morning I'm asking just for a fresh renewal of your heart and of your spirit in all of us. Begin with me. Refresh us this morning. You're not making us do another thing, and don't let it be that this morning. This isn't more pressure on us. But just maybe find a place in our house, maybe outside, maybe somewhere, maybe a walk. But it's just a few moments where it's not about a book, it's not about a plan, it's not about a revelation, it's not about a direction, it's not about a conviction. It's about nothing more than us having a dialogue. I never realized how much you long to simply have fellowship with the men that you absolutely love. So, Father, I'm asking you this morning, by the revelation of God, seal it in our hearts, that we're choosing Martha, we're choosing Mary, that position. Let the revelation of your preciousness and the revelation of your person be ours. May we all come to know the incredible value that you are. I thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. How about just giving the Lord a hand?